go. Hello, Shriya.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you so much. And obviously your representation, specifically your parents. Let's get them in on this because I can guarantee you the majority of folks who look at this podcast, listen to this podcast, it's going to freak them out in a good way. In a
Yeah.
really, really positive way. So I'm not going to steal any of your thunder. Would you just like to start off with who you are and what is it that you do?
My name is Shriya Lohia. I'm 17 years old and I'm a racing driver. Most particularly, I guess I raced in Formula 4, which is, let's say, the first step to Formula 1 in the single seater ladder. And I've been racing since I was 9 years old. I'm from India, born and raised in India. And yeah, I guess I've been racing since then. It's the thing I love the most. And, obviously my goal is to try to get to Formula One someday, and just get to the pinnacle of motorsports and represent my country and inspire a lot of people, hopefully.
Right. Did you all hear that? Right. Because that when I was doing a little bit of research around which guests and potential guests to approach, because as all of you guys know, Dubai is all around stories that matter. And I, to my disgrace, had no idea that there were awesome people like Shreya, and there are more, who uh, aspire to get to Formula One. Okay, and you didn't hear Shreya wrong. Yeah, Formula Four out of India, and the team. Which team are you driving for right now, Shreya?
The team that I drove Formula 4 for is Hyderabad Blackbirds. So it's an Indian team. I've raced in Indian Formula 4, and I'm looking to race abroad this year, hopefully. So yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic, and keep me honest here. You were the first person to get some points in Formula Four, right?
Yeah, so I was the first female to drive an Indian F4, and also I believe the youngest female because I debuted when I was 15.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then I was able to score points in my first race, which was pretty cool. So yeah.
I mean, I'm obviously for now this is audio only, and I'm grinning like a Cheshire cat because I'm stunned. I'm there's so much admiration, and to see someone like you doing something like you're a racing driver. How does it feel when you get asked, "And what do you do?" And I'm a racing driver. What does that feel like?
It feels really cool because this is something not everyone gets to experience, let's say, because it's such a, let's say, inaccessible sport in a way, and also because
Mhm.
we're in India and there's not a lot of more sports here. I think it's really cool to tell people, like, if they ask you what do you do for a living, or like what do you want to do for a living, and it's like, oh, I just want to drive cars fast and things like that. They kind of get confused at first because they're like, what is she talking about? But then obviously it's everything I've dreamed of since I stepped into a go-kart when I was 9. So yeah, it's just the I would say it's probably one of the coolest jobs in the world, as being an athlete in any sport is. So
Mhm.
yeah.
That is amazing. So, where did it all start?
For me, it
What
started
happened? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it started when I was 9, and my family and I, we were just like on a road trip because we used to take a lot of road trips when we were
Mhm,
younger, and we still do. And we stopped at a go-karting track, and we didn't know what it was, right? That's why it intrigued us, and we stopped there and we're like, what is this? And ooh, is it something we can try out for fun? So we went and we saw the small go-kart track, and we thought that, oh, this is cool. And then it was my sister, my elder sister, and I who decided that, okay, you know what, we'll go for a few laps and we'll see what this thing is, because it was something
mm,
new to us. We hadn't seen it before, and we decided, okay, yeah, let's just go for a few laps and see how it is. So that's how it happened. I went for just fun go-karting, and I ended up enjoying that so much, even though it's probably the slowest go-kart I've driven in my life to this day.
Yeah,
But it was like, the first experience, and I kept lapping my sister again and again because my sister was not as quick as me, let's say.
not her
So
thing.
obviously, obviously that made me really happy, and it gave me a big adrenaline rush just driving at those speeds. And then I decided that, what, this is so cool, and this is what I feel like I want to do as a sport. And I've done a lot of sports at that age. So, I played tennis, basketball, swimming, everything, but like nothing really, stood out the way that motorsports did, because I feel like that was a feeling that no other sport could replicate in that way. And also to get that adrenaline rush at 9 and think that I can actually do this, legally. I think that was really cool. And I decided that, what, this is what I want to do. And that's where, the conversation came up with my parents and things like that. They clearly saw that I was interested. And, luckily they've been very supportive, and they saw that I wanted to do this. So they really, got me into training programs from there, and then, yeah, started training and participating in championships.
Wow. So you definitely got the bug at 9,
Yeah.
right? You're
Yeah.
17 now, right? Wow. That's insane. I mean, to keep that up, for starters, so the discipline that's required, and it's not yeah, it's not like grabbing a bat and ball and running around in the street, right?
Yeah.
There's you need a lot of support, and dedication and all of that kind of stuff, so props to you, big time. That's
Thank
huge, and also to your parents, right? Because
Yeah, 100%.
that's like I mean, back in my time, if I had said, and I did, right, to my folks, "Okay, I wanna be a musician." "Uh-huh, interesting words." You know, your whole life is mapped out, yeah, for them, yeah,
Yeah,
but to have fantastically supportive parents, which clearly you do, right,
yeah.
which is great. What do they think?
Um, my dad, like, I feel like anyone else's dad, he loves this kind of stuff. He loves adventure sports. He loves anything to do with, let's say, extreme stuff. And, he's a bit of a enthusiast himself with cars and stuff. Not as
Mhm,
much, let's say, like he didn't know. He wasn't so much into motorsports or racing until, after I got into it. But, he's always had that interest for, let's say, cars and things like that. So he was obviously, I think, really happy because, we're two sisters, and my dad probably felt like, he needed someone to resonate with, let's say,
yeah,
on certain things. But yeah, I mean, he was really happy, obviously, that I'd picked up this interest, and he has been. He's the one who travels with me for every single race weekend. He's been with me like from the first day to the last day. He's been there every single time.
awesome,
Um, my mom, on the other hand, I mean, I feel like she's happy with it as well. She's proud of me. She's cool with it. I know that, but
mhm,
she's also a bit on the she finds motorsports dangerous because it is dangerous. She's a bit on the
a little
safer
bit,
side, let's say. In
yeah,
the years that I've been racing, she's not been to a single race weekend, so that says a lot about, how
okay,
how she likes to stay at home and watch it from the television rather than in person, let's say. But yeah, I mean, she's also very supportive about it. Obviously, I think she also it's also a moment of pride for her, right, to tell people that she's my daughter and she's in this male-dominated sport, and she's finding her way and doing things differently. Yeah.
fantastic. Where do you think your competitive nature comes from?
My competitive nature, I feel like I don't think I inherited it from any of my parents, let's say. My parents are
Mhm,
competitive, but not, they haven't been as much in sports like around the time when I was born. Like I haven't seen them. They did have a bit of sports background, like my mom. She was quite into badminton in her teenage years, but not much, around the time I was born. So I don't think I inherited it from either of them, I would want to say. But more so through, I guess, just growing up around sports. Like that's been kind of the thing for me, right? I've been trying all kinds
mm,
of stuff, like even normal things, let's say, for children who aren't always learning how to, ride a bicycle or swim at a certain age and things like that. I've kind of been exposed to it at an earlier age than most around me. So I feel like that's kind of given me the sort of, let's say, urge to do well in things. And that's, then it immediately translates to wanting to be the best in something, and then wanting to
Mm.
compare yourselves to, let's say, people who are already in that kind of space. So I feel like that's kind of been a thing. Like, because I've been exposed to sports, it's just sort of come along the way, and I felt like it's just something so rewarding, and it has been since I was a young child. So yeah, I mean, I think it's naturally something that's been developed throughout my sport and through time.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, Formula 4, I don't know. I'm still sat here and I'm still thinking, right, I'm speaking to a proper racing driver,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's just so cool. It's so cool. So which team do you root for?
In Formula
Like, if you're
One.
looking at F1,
In Formula One. Let's say I'm a pretty like big time Ferrari fan, so I'm kind of happy that things are going our way so far this year.
yeah, yeah,
But besides that, I think Williams is a great team, and I mean, this year's, I mean, we've been off to an okay start. And then also McLaren, particularly because of Oscar. I'm a big Oscar fan, so yeah, hoping that
okay.
things go well. I mean, hoping things get started for him, let's say this year. Unfortunately, given that he's not started the first two races, so yeah, I mean, I would say I'm a pretty big Ferrari fan, and also Merc is a pretty cool team as well. I think George and Kimi are nice drivers, and Pietro is a
Mhm,
great team leader.
mhm.
So yeah.
So, no Max in there?
Max, I mean,
No Red Bull?
I am a Max supporter for sure. Actually, I
Okay.
can't believe I kind of missed out on that for a moment. But yeah, I mean, Max and Isaac are a really good lineup as well. Isaac is a really cool driver as well as Max, and yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm not heavily biased towards one team. Let's say
Mm.
it's more so I have certain favorite drivers, not more of a team. So yeah, that's kind of how I put it.
Wow. Wow. So what I guess the karting came
Yeah,
first, and then you fell in love with
yeah,
that. It wasn't kind of, I wouldn't say it was a more traditional thing. It
yeah,
wasn't like, you watch F1
yeah,
and maybe, Shuey
yeah.
or whoever else, Hamilton,
Yeah.
and you're kinda thinking, "I wanna do that."
Yeah, no, it wasn't it was like the opposite. I'd say I got more hands-on experience first, and then I sort of started to find out more about the sport.
No, that's great, and are you one of those drivers who annoys the engineers as well?
I
Right.
I am for sure. I feel like I feel like it's an important thing to do because it's so important to be, communicating well with the engineer because they're the ones who know your car inside out as well as your mechanics. So I think it's important to have that thing. I mean,
Mm.
I've actually the fact that you brought it up, my dad and I always have this thing like at race weekends. Anytime I feel like, I'm having a certain doubt or a problem, my dad literally says like, go annoy the engineer, like go annoy them, eat their brains out. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna do because
I like your dad. I like him so much. He sounds amazing.
yeah, I mean, we've actually had that, like, the exact words, we just quote that, like, "I'm gonna go annoy the engineer now, this is what I wanna
Yep.
wanna fry their brains about right now."
Completely different discipline. I mean, you don't know this about me, but I used to be an engineer once
Yeah,
upon a time. Avionics, yeah, yeah, yeah. Nothing to do with motorsports.
yeah,
It was aircraft, right? But electronics. But even then, the pilots
yeah,
would love to have protracted conversations with us.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
always a
I could
joy.
actually go on for hours with an engineer, and I've done that before because I just feel like they bring such a unique perspective as well from the side
Uh,
of the garage that they work from. I think it's just so insightful. I was speaking to them, and also both of my parents studied engineering, so they're both from engineering background. So it's yeah, it's something I really look forward to speaking to them every time.
that's just so cool. So outside of I don't know. Do you have time? And obviously, I say obviously. I read somewhere that you're
Yeah,
homeschooling. Is that
yeah.
right? Okay. And what else then? Right? What else? What else does Shriya do downtime? What kind of music do you listen to?
What kind of music? Oh my god, that's a tough question. I listen to anything and everything, like genuinely anything and everything. I feel like anytime someone asks me like, "What's your favorite genre in music?" I cannot decide because I just have way too many. I have like, let's say, 40 to 50 playlists on Spotify. Everything is like a different thing, whatever
Yeah,
I wanna hear, I just put that one
standard.
on at that moment. But yeah, in terms of music, let's say I really like a lot of Indian music. I listen to a lot of Punjabi. So Punjabi is the language from Punjab, right? Obviously, I listen to a lot of Punjabi music.
I'm Punjabi, it's
Yeah.
cool, we're good, we're down with Punjab,
Yeah,
it's all good.
Punjabi music is probably one of my favorite things ever. I feel like it's such a good hype music as well, and there's some really beautiful songs as well. There's just everything. I think there's a lot to it, as well as there's a lot of there's a few artists from Himachal itself, the state that I live in, and
Mhm,
particularly Mohit Chauhan. He's one of my favorite artists. He has a beautiful voice. He sings really beautiful songs. And then I guess all around pop. I mean, I grew up with a lot of American pop music growing up, so that's obviously something we listen to as well. And then
mhm.
it's just everything. Honestly, I don't think I could fixate on a single genre of music. I just listen to anything.
How about, like, pre-race? How do you get into the zone? Because I read
Yeah,
somewhere that yeah,
I
that music,
yeah.
yeah, you gotta have certain type.
I love listening to music. It's one of my favorite things to do. So let's say pre-race, obviously you wanna hype yourself up, and for me, sometimes it's Punjabi, sometimes it's some nice pop songs from back then that remind me of let's say simpler times. Like if I feel like okay, today's a race day and I need to do well, and I'm sort of feeling the pressure, I like to go back to a song that reminds me of my younger days when I was a small kid. I didn't think about all this kind of stuff. That would sort of
Do you have any idea how insane that sounds to an old man like me? Right?
Prob-
I've got a 17-year-old
probably,
racing driver talking about her younger days.
probably,
It's like
probably. But like younger days, I mean, when I was a kid, and we
yeah,
would
yeah.
listen to music without thinking much about it. It's definitely changed since then. Since we become teenagers, we start analyzing everything around us so much more. So yeah, I mean, I like to go back to the songs that I used to listen to when you were just listening for the vibes, let's say, because that kind of puts
Mm,
me back into
mm.
that mindset and stops me from thinking about, oh, what's gonna happen in the race or what's this. It's just like, oh, chill, just vibes, like vibes before you go into the race, nothing else. That is something I like to do. And inspirational songs. I mean, you can never go wrong with like the Hall of Fame and songs that really remind you what you're doing this for, and what your ultimate goal is. I think that I would say those three are kind of my mains pre-race.
Mm. Yeah, but I guess because of the discipline that you are
Yeah,
in, right? It is it's so
yeah,
technical on one side, right? But it's I was also reading a transcript for one of your other
okay.
sessions, and it's more in the mind than it is
Hmm.
physical.
Yeah. 100.
So, do you meditate? Do you have is that also part of your process for actually preparing for a race, or how does that all work?
So yeah, I definitely am a lot into meditation because I feel like that's so important to be in control with yourself and your mind, because obviously that's the one thing that will keep you at your best when you're driving at those speeds. Because if you're not thinking well, anything could go wrong. There's a lot at stake at that point. Meditation is something I definitely do pay a lot of attention to, and as well as journaling. I feel like that's something I've picked up over the last year or so,
Mm,
and it's just been like filling out a page every day. Particularly on race days, maybe it's more than one page. But yeah, it's just about putting things out there and sort of letting everything out and my expectations from myself, and sort of, let's say, little promises to myself that this is what I want to work on, this is what I will work on, and this is how I'm gonna deal with so and so situation, or this is how I'm gonna approach so race weekend. I feel like those are two things I like to do to, let's say, on the calmer side, to sort of prepare for the
mm.
races. Yeah,
Do you think that that kind of on the borderline of what do they call it, manifesting
yeah,
things, or it's just
probably.
making sure that you're absolutely as focused as you could possibly be?
Let's say a bit of both. I also
Mm,
have picked up, like, let's say, the habit of manifestation from one of my close friends in racing itself. So yeah, I mean,
mhm,
that's something I'm slowly getting into, not as much, let's say, but for me, journaling is more of like an outlet, and making sure I have everything out there, and I'm not, I don't have a lot of things in my head before a race, and if there is something that I feel like I don't want bothering me, I just put it out there, and then I'm able to reset myself before I go into the next session.
fantastic. That's yeah, I mean, I'm still learning about your discipline,
Yeah,
right? Um, I was motorsports, didn't really do it for me until, maybe 10, 15 years
yeah,
ago, right? And then I started to get into it, and it wasn't because of a particular driver or anything like
yeah,
that. It was just, all of a sudden it became interesting.
yes.
Um, but that whole technical plus the individual, the driver, there's so much more to motorsport and, F4 and all the way up to F1. What's the size of a team for a standard your team? How many people are there in a standard F4 team?
So for an F4 team at a race weekend, let's say we've got, engineer, we've got a mechanic, one or two mechanics on a car, a personal race engineer, and
Uh-huh,
the other side of it, let's say, the physical side or the mental side of it, you could have a mentor, or you could have, a physical coach with you, which is something I haven't experienced yet, but maybe soon.
uh-huh,
I don't have, like, let's say, the close knit team at this point, that most drivers do, because
uh-huh,
motorsport culture is not as much here, like, we all don't have, like, a personal manager and physical coach and things like that. But
uh-huh,
yeah, we're slowly heading towards that direction, and maybe when I race internationally, that'll be something for me. But yeah, on a typical race weekend, you have your race engineer, and you've got one or two mechanics operating your car, and it's kind of just the three of you. You can sit down and debrief about things. Obviously, the communication goes between the three of us, so it's to the
uh-huh.
engineer, and the engineer to the mechanic, and even you to the mechanic if you feel like there's something. But yeah, everything just goes between the three of us. We're always making sure that we know what's happening. Like, if we're changing something on the car, if there's a certain driving style, we're always open to inputs, and yeah, work together that way.
No, that's crazy. I mean, how in comparison to
Yeah,
F1, right? Um Obviously, it's regulated.
yeah,
Formula 4 is
yeah.
regulated as well. But is it the same that every year there's new rules,
Yeah.
there's certain things that you're allowed to do and certain things you're not supposed to be doing with the design of the cars and, stuff like that?
Uh,
Is that still
yeah.
does that go all the way through?
So, in terms of Formula 4, 3, and 2, these are all spec series. So we have the same car from a particular manufacturer, and everyone drives that
Uh-huh,
same car. So you're not allowed to do much to it other than, basic setups and, adjustments to everyone's driving style, let's say. So it's not as massive as, in Formula 1, where every team
uh-huh,
builds their own car. So yeah, I mean, we don't have, like, a new set of regulations every year or things like that. We're just it's kind of just playing with the format of, how many qualifying laps you can do, or whether we do a reverse grid race or we don't do. So that's the most that we play with, let's say. And it's just about learning the basic setups of the car. Obviously, that's how it goes from Formula 4 to Formula 2. Formula 4 to 2, and then Formula 1, I think, is where the big change comes in, and there's a lot more things to handle.
mhm. No, that's crazy. So, I mean, from a track perspective, right? If you could,
Yeah,
if somebody said, "Yeah, here's a car,
yeah.
here's a track," what would be that car? What would be that track?
That's a tough question, honestly, because there's so many tracks and there's so many cars, and I feel like that's
Mm,
probably one of the most confusing questions to ask a racing driver, because you can never settle on, like, one thing. You kind of want to experience it all, let's say. Um, I would say, but the funny thing is, being in India, I haven't ever raced at the Budin International Circuit, which is our Formula One circuit, because
yeah.
it's not been functional post 2014, when Formula One stopped coming to India. I think I would love to probably go out on the circuit that we do have, the Formula One circuit, which is good.
Mhm. Where's that?
It's in Noida, in Delhi, so it's not too far away from here
Okay.
as well. Just haven't been
Yeah.
there, never had a championship that's raced there, unfortunately, at this point, but hopefully soon. But yeah, that's what I think I'd want to experience both because it's a track so many legends have driven at. We had Sebastian Vettel, Lewis
Mm,
Hamilton, Michael Schumacher, who's my biggest inspiration in Formula One. We've had them all race here. It's I want to experience the same thing that they've experienced in my home country. And as for a car, I feel like again that's such a tough question. Like you could you could ask me, I could say every car in the world, like bring me every single car. I want to drive every single car. But yeah, I mean obviously the dream would be to drive a Formula One car in my home country at my home
mhm.
track. So yeah, I'd probably say that. And that's something I really hope for to happen some point in the future, for the F1 Grand Prix to come back in India and for myself to, be able to do that.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, clearly there's pride.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
there's a lot.
pride, right? I mean, you're Indian.
Yeah.
Yeah. And regardless of obviously you are gonna progress and your fingers crossed, right?
Yeah.
You will get to F1, right? And I totally understand how tough that is. Um, but then to already start thinking about, yeah, bringing it back to India.
I feel like it's
Yeah.
part of the process, right? Like if I'm able to get to the pinnacle, or even if not Formula One, if Formula Two, or if I'm able to make my mark, let's say in the single seater world, I think that would leave a lasting impact on my country and for the state of motorsports in my country, and hopefully, be sort
Mhm.
of the moment that helps pivot the return of Formula One. That's what we need, right? We need our country to get that interest back again and to see that we have drivers capable of getting there and we have a circuit capable of hosting the same Grand Prix that hosted so many years ago. And maybe this time with a few more Indian drivers. So yeah.
No, for sure. I mean, what do you think really, really needs to happen? I mean, you got the
Yeah.
investment side of things, and I know, not that I watched any of them, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not my thing. But I know years back there was a few, I call them Bollywood films, right?
Yeah.
Where it was all about, motorsport
Yeah.
and that whole kind of thing. Do you think there needs to be more of that? What else needs to happen to raise the profile of motorsport in India, do you think?
I think motorsport is actually relatively famous in India. There was a recent research, I think, about Formula One's viewership, and a lot of it comes from
Mhm.
India because we're such a big country. We have such a huge population. Also,
Huge. Yeah, yeah.
we are interested in motorsports. That was visible with the report that came out, and we have drivers working our way up, but not as many as any country in Europe, let's say. I think what really needs to happen is obviously, the investment side is the main thing that we need the investment to take place for it to happen. But we
Mhm,
also need, you know, the interest, let's say. Even if it's investment, we need the investment from someone who is genuinely interested in motorsports, who is looking for it to come back as a sport and not as entertainment, which is what they had classified it as when it was in India at that point. That's kind of why, it
mhm.
stopped. So we need that passion, let's say. We might have that passion with those people, but we need that community and we need those people to be able to bring that back and make sure that it's not taken away from us again. We need it to stay. We need to make sure that we get that platform here because we have the community. We can see that we have a lot of motorsport fans. Any motorsport event that happens in India, there's a huge turnout always because everyone loves seeing it, everyone loves watching.
Yep.
So that's exactly what we need, right? And as well as the drivers that are already, on the ladder, I think if we're able to support them at this point, because we're such a big country, we have a lot of resources in that sense, and we have a lot of love for sport, and in India it's cricket. Cricket is the biggest sport. If we're able to distribute, that love and support for motorsports as well, let's say, and support the drivers like Kush Maini, who's in Formula 2 too, make it to the pinnacle, I think then we're able to, serve a larger audience, a wider audience, and we're able to prove that born and brought up Indians are truly able to get there. And I think that would be something that could absolutely change the state of motorsports in India. But yeah, the main thing is
I mean,
we have
everyone
yeah
associates outside of India, right?
yeah
So as far as I'm aware,
yeah
everyone, you say India and you say sport,
yeah
okay, cricket.
yeah
Yeah, yeah, the whole country. Yes, we know this, right?
yeah
But even in football,
yeah
right?
yeah
Soccer, the Americans call it. There's a massive, massive cult following
yeah
for literally every top team from every country within India,
yeah
right? You can't
yeah
go to a bar on a game night anywhere in, and I've been there,
yeah
right? Especially in Bangalore. I
yeah
mean, my friends there are just absolutely
yeah
crazy. They just nuts, right? Unfortunately, most of them are Liverpool fans, but hey, you know what? No one's perfect.
yeah
No one's perfect. I can't hold that against them. But that as a sport as well, I'm thinking, yeah, even they need so much more visibility and
yeah
more funding. So there's definitely some kind of pecking order. So cricket, right, it gets all of the press, the praise, the celebration, and why not? Because
yeah
India's got sorry, and it's got the best cricket players, the best
yeah
teams. It just has, right, for now, regardless of what the Aussies say. Um, but then you've got the global football,
yeah
right, which is going on. F1 is, again, from my perspective, it's not as prominent in
yeah
India, but there is just do the math, people,
yeah
right? The numbers. There's so many people like you've just
yeah
shared with us who engage with it, who have a passion with it. And even I know because I visit India a lot. There's so many folks who will just be walking around with F1 team
yeah
paraphernalia. Everyone,
yeah
not everyone, but like lots of Ferrari
a
tops,
lot of them yeah
lots of AMG, all of the above, um, and Red Bull in particular as
yeah
well.
yeah
It's great to see.
it,
It really, really is great
yeah
to see.
100%.
Uh,
I think it brings a lot of that back to India, and with Red Bull's events also. People love seeing it. We love seeing it. It's absolutely everything to us. And also, seeing that even Arvid Lindblad now being announced as the F1 driver, the most recent F1 driver, and the fact that he has
uh,
Indian roots and Punjabi roots, it's so special to all of us. Where even though he may not be, born and raised in India, he is still part Indian, and we all embrace him like one of our own. So it shows, the love for sport that us Indians have. It's there for cricket for sure, but we also need, let's say, the companies to sort of expand beyond cricket and the sponsors to sort of expand beyond cricket, and then we have the fan base. There's so many people watching Formula One. There's so many people.
this is the thing. I mean, even if you're just looking at volume,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
You know, the numbers are insane. The following is
Yeah,
incredible. Um, going to football games, for example, because that used to be my sport, when I was younger and
yeah,
playing and all the rest of it, same as everybody else's. Just you follow a team, that's your team. You'll watch every game, you'll play as often as you can. You have that community
yeah,
vibe going on. And I'm sure that has to happen for motorsport in
yeah,
India. It has to, particularly with so many people like yourself and a couple of folks that you've already mentioned who are up and coming. Um, India's just, I wouldn't say it's waking up. It's frustrating for me,
yeah,
right? Genuinely, it's frustrating for me that, I mean, my game is, strategy and design,
yeah,
right? And people look at India as, okay, you're just an IT shop. That's all you do. And I've been working really hard to raise the profile of
yeah,
design within
yeah,
India for quite some time. And it's hard,
yeah.
right? There's this kind of global mental model.
Um,
It might be a legacy of colonialism that, okay, India's over there. Not sure what goes on. Oh, food. Yeah, they do a lot of good food. It's spicy though,
yeah,
blah, 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 blah. And when you talk about India in the context of sport, it's always cricket.
yeah,
Um, I wish to God the national football team or whoever's looking after that, would sort that out because the potential there is huge. But motorsport, motorsport, I'm absolutely confident that 90% of anyone who's gonna be listening to this, they're gonna be thinking, "Hang on, there's F4 in India,
Yeah,
there's motorsport in India, there's a 17-year-old amazing driver and others also, who are getting into this thing and who are already successful at this,
yeah,
right? Because you've been incredibly successful, right? And long may that continue. That's hopefully this will do a small thing to raise awareness, right? Because I think it's frustrating.
yeah,
It's frustrating for an immigrant kid who was born and raised in London in the UK. I work globally, traveled around India. I go to every year at least twice,
yeah,
right? Um, and people still have this kind of hmm, interesting. It's almost patronizing,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean,
Which is weird,
yeah,
but, we'll change it, we'll change it.
yeah,
I think in the same way that it happened with cricket, it's got to happen with other things as
yeah,
well, professionally and also within sport.
yeah,
So, all like I said, credit to you, your support, your team, your family, who are clearly helping you,
yeah.
to do what it is that you want to do,
Yeah. I mean, I'm honestly
right?
so grateful for that, right? Because so obviously, I'm very grateful for my parents' support, given that they grew up in the times where the stereotypes for women and for kids, stepping out of the engineering and doctor line still existed. And they grew up with that,
Mhm,
they didn't have much of a choice. Like I said, my mom was into badminton, but it wasn't, a realistic option for her parents to let her pursue that. And that's something that she's able to give me the opportunity. She's changing that stigma, from when she grew up to when I'm growing up, and that's obviously something I'm eternally grateful for. And that's something that needs to happen for us to produce, like, let's say, the Virat Kohlis and the MS Dhonis of India, because that's exactly how it'll happen, right?
mhm,
It's not
mhm,
gonna, it's not, it's probably not gonna be a kid who's had their life planned out from birth to do engineering or to do, a corporate job after so and so time. I think it's about letting your child go do what they love and give their life for it and do everything for it, because that's exactly how we're gonna get those kind of people. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's a big thing to get the support from my family, to for my parents to even face the traditional people that we do know who still sort of probably believe in the fact that women should not be in male dominated sports, or that children should not let's say go into this kind of thing and sort of try to figure things out and go into a sport like this where a future is not guaranteed or things like that. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot more than I could ever ask for, right? Like, it's not just me who's making the sacrifices or taking the risks. It's my family and it's their support. So truly, I would be nothing without them, and I owe everything I have to them. So yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest blessing for me, to have these parents here in this country who are willing to help me change the stereotypes.
no, it's going to happen,
Yeah,
right? It's not happening with the velocity that we would
yeah,
all like,
yeah,
right? But it is
yeah,
definitely going to happen,
yeah,
because simply, again, because of the numbers,
yeah,
the population is what it is,
yeah,
the investment in the country, the infrastructure, the development, that India has been seeing
yeah,
for quite some time
yep,
now, um, and I cannot wait, Shreya, to see you and your colleagues in motorsport in India. Like, I'm gonna be one of those kind of not so secret fanboys, right? It's like you'll be on TV somewhere. "I've spoken to that lady. I yeah,
yeah,
she's cool, and look at her now,"
yeah.
right? I mean, you're 17, but you are such an inspiration. You really, really are.
Thank you.
And thank you to you, thank you to your family, and your entire support, network that is enabling
Yeah.
you to do and to be so successful.
Thank you.
That's just fantastic. It's amazing. It's so cool. What's next? What's next for you?
What's next for me? I wish I could be, completely out there and say that I'm driving so and so championship. But like I said, motorsports is not so big in India, and to find sponsorship is tough. And I don't
Mhm.
come from that sort of really wealthy background where I can just decide that this is what I'm going to drive next. So I don't have any concrete plans. I have things in the works, of course. I'm speaking to teams, I'm deciding championships and things that I can do. But I don't think I can make any official announcements. All I can say is probably just you can hope the best for me, and hope that things work out as well as I wish for them to work out. And yeah, hopefully I'll have a really cool announcement for this year soon.
That's fantastic. How can folks get in touch with you? You're on the social whole kind of thing. Are you
Yeah.
open? People can just like reach out to you, send you messages, all of that kind of stuff. How big is
I
the
try to be, but honestly, the amount of messages I get on Instagram each day, it's really do sometimes take out the time and read the messages I do get. And I get really happy anytime someone says that, it's sort of inspired them in a way, or given them some sort of introduction to more sports. And that makes me happy. I take time to read that out. But yeah, I mean, I'm able to have like a quick look throughout whenever. And
where can folks actually do that? Because I
yeah,
think prospective
yeah,
sponsors, hello,
yeah.
are you listening? Right?
um,
This is another way that you can get in touch with this fantastic young lady.
For me, the best way is probably to reach out through my mail, which is always on every single social platform that I have. My Gmail is always, yeah,
Right.
open to contact, and that's probably the one that we give most priority to, right? Because it's a lot easier for my team to get back to people that way.
I get it, I
Yeah,
get it. If anyone, which hopefully they will,
yeah,
they need to reach out to you. The obvious thing is broadly, okay, what's your Instagram? Can they
yeah.
reach out to that,
Yeah, my Instagram
right?
is just my name, which is Shriya Lohia. Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's probably one of the easiest ways. Through my website or through my mail is where I'm most active. I do like go through stories when
That's
people mention me in stories and comments and posts. I always look through stuff like that. Uh, but yeah, I mean it's
no,
probably
it's
the
fine.
best.
So you're on Instagram, you got your own website,
Yeah,
folks, particularly you lovely sponsors with your lovely, lovely money.
yeah,
If you wanted to, and why wouldn't you support this fantastic young lady in her mission to, yeah, just absolutely follow her dream from
that's cool.
F4
Yeah,
all the way through to F1. And why not? Why not? Let's see that. Let's see that happen.
yeah. I love talking to people, honestly, like about my sport, about more sports in general. I think it's something I could talk for hours about, which is, it's a fun way for me also because even like my family, like I said, they're not much into motorsports and they're not like, avid Formula One watchers or race watchers. So I can't, they kind of, every now and then they'll tell me like, yeah, okay, just stop talking about racing because that's genuinely all I talk about. So yeah, it's always fun for me to have people to talk to and new perspectives to share. I guess say one of the most important things, and I feel like for like from India, the main thing is uh from my perspective for India to support Indians to get there, and then the Formula One thing will happen. I just feel like I myself am in a situation where it's a lot of question marks as to why some companies or sponsors are not taking the risk as of yet to sort of bring Formula One back because we have a huge fan base. Even with there
Mm,
was the Red Bull Moto Jam event that happened in Delhi with Arvid. It had a huge
mhm.
turnout. Everyone absolutely loved it. Um, we have the audience. We have absolutely everything, right? F1 wants the audience. F1 will get the audience if it will get like double or triple the audience if they come back to India. So yeah, I mean,
Can you imagine if there was a road race, like a city takeover, right? Wow. Wow. Which city do you think would be kinda cool for that?
I always say Chandigarh.
Delhi or
I always say Chandigarh
Chandigarh?
because Chandigarh is so
Yeah.
well planned out. I feel like that would be one of the perfect places to host something like that.
Wow. Chandigarh city road race.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. That is fantastic. Shreya, you have been an absolute delight. I mean, you're doing something that very, very few people globally, forget about India,
Yeah,
get a chance to do.
yeah.
Um, but you're doing it and you're killing it. It's amazing. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so, so much for your time
No,
and for being so candid and open and honest with everything that we've spoken around.
thank you. I mean, I really enjoyed speaking. Like I said, I always love any conversation about motorsports or just, talking to new people and hearing their perspective about things like this. So, yeah, thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.